have we really calculated and trying to really try to present to the Board of Commissioners and government management?
Yeah, I think that homelessness was sort of something that people weren't aware of. It was an issue. There were probably 1,500 plus people on a given night that were homeless, and maybe probably 300 people at the time. 300 of those individuals were children, and people's perception of that was only those folks that they might see at an intersection. So there was a problem, but the real problem was that our systems of care were mostly managing homelessness. They were sort of not necessarily saying that they were enabling it, but the systems of care were doing things that helped sustain and maintain homelessness.
So a group of us were appointed by a task force from the city and the county in the United Way, and we all worked together. And then from that we tried to have a lot of community forums. We had 4 community forums around all over Wake County in different areas of the county. And so we did those, collected that data, and tried to put together a plan that the larger, greater community could embrace, and rolled that plan out.
The plan started the Wake Continuum of Care, which is an organization of human service organizations that all have some role in care for people who are homeless, had learned that there was a national effort to put together 10-year plans to end homelessness throughout the country. We looked at housing in one of the community meetings. We looked at education and employment in another meeting. We looked at mental illness and substance abuse in another meeting. So we looked at specific topics in this series of meetings, and then at the end we had put together a whole series of issues that needed to be addressed in the community. Top recommendations that came out were focusing in on affordable housing. We're never going to end homelessness unless you have a home for those folks to move into. It makes common sense. The Wake Continuum of Care was called the Wake Continuum of Care Collaborative. After a couple of years, they stopped calling themselves the Wake Continuum of Care Collaborative and called themselves the Wake Continuum of Care. So they had literally and figuratively lost the collaborative component. People didn't know why they were there. For example, there are things that these agencies can do as an organized group that they can't do individually. Just recently with the city's comprehensive plan, the 2 top issues were transportation and affordable housing. And then I mentioned earlier the 24/7 Stabilization Assessment Referral Center. That was a priority in the plan then, and it's still a priority now. So there are things like that that have continued to be a priority. Well, yeah, I think one of the things I've got to mention is our support circle program. I think that particular program is something that has evolved from the beginning of the plan, that we didn't anticipate that it was that significant, to now it's a very significant effort, and the city's behind it, the county's behind it. So what's happening now is all of our affordable housing builders in our community are building less than 100 units a year, or right around 100 units per year. And so when you have 300 people moving in at poverty level wages, 100 being built, that's a deficit of 200. Then you add on to that the numbers of units that are simply disappearing that are affordable. Our community is going backwards in terms of affordable housing. We'll probably be re-engaging the community as a whole and sort of taking a second look at the plan, sort of reaffirming our priorities. If there are other priorities that we have taken a back seat and we need to put those up to the front, we'll work through that. So I think that we're in the process right now of re-energizing the effort, and we're in a new direction that's going to carry us on into the future.